He's we need Mason. Yeah. Yes. He has 5 minutes. We'll be here when you get back. That's close. I heard you.
Does Colgate have a gas appliance ban? Leaf blower. No, the county does. Brownsville had a gas appliance ban. The Parkland ban got challenged. The other one is when you gas. Well, that is the state that shut down. You can't purchase. So the Sunset Magazine site. Oh, yeah. The 400 plus. The city is already. Housing for the city. We have one. That one.
Yep, we're ready to go. Let me see. Beatrice, we ready? Ready? We're ready.
Okay, good evening. Welcome to the January 2nd, 2024 Planning Commission meeting. Happy New Year to everybody. We'll start tonight. I actually don't have the typical thing we read through regarding if you want to make comments. I apologize, I don't have that in front of me tonight. But we're doing our best. We are up and running. And if you would like to make a comment, you could call in via Zoom to tonight's meeting. So we'll start with taking roll call. Commissioner Mason,
Present.
Commissioner Heising,
Present.
Commissioner McCormick,
Present.
and I'm sitting in his chair tonight, Commissioner Radnich, and we have 3 commissioners out tonight, Labange, Farzan, and Sturm. Can I get an adoption of the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
It passes. Public comments for items not on tonight's agenda within the purview of the commission. Don't see anyone in the audience wishing to speak. Is there anybody on Zoom?
I do not have any hands raised on Zoom.
Okay, things moving to item 5, consent count. Oh, sorry.
We're supposed to be reading the land acknowledgements.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the reminder. Commissioner McCormick is going to read the land acknowledgement statement tonight.
Right. So this is actually a new, just preface. This is a statement that all the Planning Commission, Design Review Commission, City Council, and Design, I think the Transportation Commission are all reading at the first meeting of the year. This is going to get read. And in fact, the City Council is reading it once a month. So let's just start. We acknowledge that Lafayette is part of the unceded ancestral homeland of the Bay Miwok people. The Bay Miwok and neighboring Ohlone people have lived in and moved through this place for thousands of years. They stewarded and shaped this land for hundreds of generations. We express our appreciation and gratitude for this profound legacy, which enhances and contributes to our lives to this day. We will strive to honor this land and strengthen our ties with indigenous communities that continue to live and work in our East Bay region as our neighbors and community members. We acknowledge that and honor them and their ancestors, elders, and the next 7 generations.
Thank you, Commissioner McCormick. One sec. Oh. Okay, consent calendar. We have nothing on tonight's consent calendar. And item 6, continued public hearing, 6A HDP 26-22, GR 10-23, B09-23 Diamond Construction is the applicant. And I'll turn it over to staff.
Thank you. Good evening, commissioners. I'm Sonia Zula, Assistant Plan Director. I'll be presenting tonight on behalf of Arlie Cassidy, who is unavailable this evening, but I've closely been reviewing the staff report, so hopefully I can answer all your questions. So tonight what we have for you on this agenda is an item that came before your commission 2 weeks ago. This is a three-part application. It's a hillside development project, a grading permit, and a variance application. This is for the construction of a new home at 88 Lucas Ranch Road. It is. So what we discussed 2 weeks ago was the history of this subdivision. The subdivision was originally approved in the year 2006 for 8 single-family homes. This is lot 7 of those 8. Originally, a hillside development permit phase 1 was approved in 2015, 2016. And the staff report goes into detail about the procedural steps that accompanied that. No phase 2 was submitted for that application. And since then, just to go over what we discussed 2 weeks ago, the context of this subdivision. The property is located in the southeasterly portion of the city. For reference, the water tank is here. This is, like I said, lot 7. Lot 6 is here to the west. On December 18th, the Planning Commission approved a house site and easement swap. And I won't go over it too much other than to just to circle here the portion where the location of the proposed home will be, and that's part of this this hillside development permit. Part of that as well, you will recall, we also discussed the wildlife corridor that was moved as well. So part of this application, you'll see in your package, something that was also discussed and presented by the architect is the proposal of a new home on lot lot 7. It is a 1-story residence that has a height of 21 feet 9 inches from proposed grade. From existing grade, it measures 25 and a half feet. The total footprint of the house is a little under 6,500 square feet with a 3-car garage. The proposed grading is 800 cut and 800 yards of fill. This application, as the staff report discusses, is in conformance with the general plan, zoning regulations, and the Lucas Ranch design guidelines. Part of the resolution that you have in front of you has findings for both the hillside development permit, the design review aspects, the grading, and the variance petition here. And this is a little bit hard to read, but I will just highlight that for the variance application, if you can see these dashed lines here, the applicant has identified what the setbacks would be. And so the variance application is to capture this encroachment here and this encroachment in the front yard and here in the side yard. If you zoom in a little bit more, I won't do it here on this slide, but if you zoom in more, the variance is due to the distance from the easement location and the proposed building wall. There's actually, if you measure to the property line, there's actually more than 50 feet of space, but we do measure here from the easement lines. But I just wanted to highlight that's the variance location there for the side and the front. For part of the phase 1 of the hillside development permit, what we consider is the siding and massing, similar to what was presented 2 weeks ago. This location here is a proposed house site which was approved. Just for reference, this diagram also shows what the original approved site is. So this is the proposed site. Again, we just wanted to show you just the context to see what the previous site was and where this location, the current location is. The floor plan, kind of, we're describing it as somewhat of an H or an X type of floor plan. There's the bedroom wing here along the east wall, garage and office on the northwest, the living area in the center, and then a pool and a patio facing to the south. Grading and drainage, most of the grading is taking place here for this driveway. The proposal includes 3 energy dissipators below the house down here. And there's some retaining walls. A review of the environmental review work that was done previously. In 2006, an environmental impact report was generated and certified. Subsequent to that, an addendum was prepared. Again, with the location of the change in the location of the house site in 2023, city prepared an addendum that found no significant adverse impacts and no increase in severity of impacts. We did make one minor revision to the mitigation monitoring report, in which a mitigation previously referred to the wildlife corridor being located on the east side, and we changed that to reflect the change that was approved 2 weeks ago to the west side. And all the mitigations would all carry over to this project as well. Staff recommends the adoption of the Planning Commission Resolution 24-01, approving the application subject to conditions. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And our applicant is with us as well, if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Are there any clarifying questions from the commissioners for staff? Commissioner Heising?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just a quick question regarding response to the notification to the public. At the time of the writing of the staff report, there were no comments received. Is that still the case?
That is still the case.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner McCormick?
Yeah, just, it was helpful seeing that diagram of actually where the variances was being asked for. I don't think I saw that in the packet. I may have missed that. Question, when it's going to so the one, I guess, that's on the east side, wherever it's right against the easement for the trail.
Yes.
Right. I know there's quite a bit in there about all the plantings that are going to happen, which seem really nice to help the property blend in. Question, is there going to be, is there going to be a concern with the trail being so close to the edge of the house? Is that going to just seem, it seems an odd, I should know if there's plantings or there's planning on to kind of hide that. Just kind of wondering how that's going to, is it going to feel uncomfortable for a trail if their house is like is very, very close to the edge of the trail, right? Because it's less than 25 feet to the edge of the easement, and that's for a trail for hikers, right?
Right. When this comes back for the phase 2, we'll get more details on the landscaping plan. It's something that we can bring up to the applicant and make sure that we capture that. But you're right, it may feel like 25 feet between a building wall and easement might be too close, but I think it's kind of hard to anticipate. And once it's there and it's established, I think it might not feel as close, but it's definitely something that we can look into as phase 2 application comes in, which will come to DRC, we're hoping, to the Design Review Commission this month.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. See, the applicant is here tonight. If the applicant would like to make a presentation.
Good evening. Obviously, 2 weeks ago, we kind of went ad nauseum, so I don't want to do that to you on a rainy night. Thank you for having us to answer I'm more here to answer any further questions from a couple weeks ago and thought that I would come. I forgot about the meeting, so I apologize about my 6-year-old, but felt both her parents are attorneys, so she can start getting a look at what this looks like. The question on the trail easement, I've been on the board of Save Mount Diablo for 9 years. I know Sean Dugan really well. I actually widened the easement down below. The way that the trail will be used is you'll have to come across the street, which is up above. So you're going to be right down on the property. And Sean and I work to try to get anyone that's using the trail further away from the property. And we're going to use as much landscape screen as much as possible with mature screening so that someone doesn't actually feel it. The more problematic side was from across the ravine. We widened that so that they could actually get the switch back. So prior to this, and not to hold, I don't ever like to be seen as holding the city hostage or otherwise. We already granted that easement so that the trail could be built. Otherwise, there was issues with whether or not it could actually get in. So the trail system is probably one of the most important things that I've taken on since I've been on this project, built all 8 homes. I know that you haven't been here with all 8 of them, but I've shrunk the homes and I've really tried to mitigate the siding and massing. This particular property, when we moved it, there was already a pad before I unfortunately got there. I would have probably done something different, to be honest. But it is where it is. And from a geotechnical standpoint, it makes most sense to hide it and disguise it from that spot. The neighbors that would have potential offsite impacts, we have met with them, discussed, and this particular location actually disguises and hides the property best, making it single story rather than 3 stories that originally was. Also, obviously, lessens the objective design standards from offsite impacts too. So I have architect on Zoom. I don't know if Ross Hummel is there. He can go through any specific questions about the architecture, but again, I don't want to repeat everything from a couple weeks ago and you get tired of hearing from me. So I appreciate it if Ross wants to go through anything else that you guys have questions on, we're happy to handle it.
Okay, thank you. So before we get to questions, I just want to, if you could just stay up for a second.
Yes.
Is Ross
Yes.
into the meeting? So I'll just offer if there's anything additional. I don't know, Ross, if you could hear us, but if there's anything additional you would like to share or present on behalf of the applicant team.
Sure. Why don't I just, can everybody hear me okay?
You're on mute.
Oh. Yeah, no? Still can't hear me?
Perfect.
I'll share the screen here and show you a little bit of the plans. Thank you guys for having me here remotely. Let me show you the design a little bit in relation, I think, to this question about setbacks and massing. It's probably a good idea to take a look. If you can let me share the screen, I'll pull up the plans and walk through a couple things.
Okay, we're working on it.
Yep, perfect. Thank you. Great. Everybody can see the floor plan, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So just to talk really quickly about the layout of the building, you guys mentioned the X or H shape. What we were trying to do on the site was to obviously keep it low at 1 story, but in that we kind of pulled apart the kind of heavier functions of the building. So the private bedrooms, the garage, and the kitchen. And what we've done is kind of located those around this center open space. And the idea behind that is to both break down the overall massing of the building and make it a little bit more varied, but also open the building to the outside and the outside into the building. So we have a series of levels that I can show you in some 3-dimensional views. You've seen some of them previously. We've got a bigger version of them here. But the auto court kind of connects through the building here. You can see this long walkway, which is kind of the spine that's holding all of these elements together around a big open living dining space. What happens is from the northern side, the top of the page here, down towards the southern side of the building, both the inside of the building area and the outside patio elements step down with the landscape. So what you see in these renderings, I think this is probably the best one to show it, is if you look through that window, that large opening is that main living space. You can see that the landscape steps up again. I don't have the full landscape of the hillside in this view, but essentially the building is set to kind of fall down along with the landscape as it steps. And you can see here in this image and kind of this one, which is a view from the driveway looking down towards the auto court, the way that we've tried to use the different massing elements, and in this case, different materials, to break the building up a little bit so that it doesn't feel like a monolith. And also, again, the single story to keep it low on the hillside. So I think that is, at least for now, a quick description of what we were thinking. I know we will be presenting a little bit more in the design review portion, but as it relates to the massing and the setbacks, I thought that would be an appropriate thing to discuss. And obviously, if you've got any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Great, thank you. Okay, so are there any clarifying questions from the commission before we open up for public comment? Commissioner Heising?
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. It's kind of a dual question, one for staff. Well, first of all, I noticed, and in the staff report, that there was a condition added for a supplemental soils report, which makes sense because you have the house sited on a new pad. And now I'm getting to my other question that I brought up at the last meeting with the possibility of planting the native grass seeds so that old pad isn't just bare dirt and that something comes back there. And I didn't see it specifically as a condition of approval, but I'm assuming it's going to be in the landscaping plan that comes later. And you already had mentioned that that's something you would work on with the buyer anyways. So just confirming that that's still happening.
I have no problem making that a condition of approval if that's how you want to see it.
I don't-
I'm gonna have to, the removal of the dirt and after we kind of tidy everything up, I have no problem however you'd like to handle it.
Yeah, no, I'm not pushing for a condition to add. I just want to just get it in the record.
You can put it in the landscape maintenance agreement too. So like the LMA is gonna be tagged to it and absolutely it'll be cleaned up.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions?
That was it.
Can
Commissioner
you,
Mason?
I know when my kids were dragged to these things, they appreciate, we would like to offer you the opportunity to introduce your daughter by name so it could go in the meeting.
I would love to. Come here, Violet.
Violet Stone, Violet Louise Stone.
Thank you, Violet. Can you say good evening?
Good evening.
Yeah.
Welcome to the
Thank you.
meeting, and your name will be in the records, and we will be checking to make sure that it's there. Thank you for attending.
Thank you. Her mom was a litigator, so she's gonna love this and she's watching right now, so I appreciate it.
Well, Happy New Year, Violet.
Thank you.
Okay, then I think we can open for public comment.
can I
Or,
just
sorry,
ask
go ahead.
one question? Can Commissioner Heising just restate for me what you wanted in the record for the planting?
I was just bringing it up because we had talked about it at the last meeting.
Mhm.
And I'm not asking for a condition of approval to be added. I just wanted to hear from the applicant that the seeding of that old pad location was going to be included with the landscape plans. And there was a discussion at the meeting 2 weeks ago that it's something the applicant was going to do anyways as part of working with the new buyer or the buyer about how the aesthetics of the grounds would be.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. There's no one in the audience to give a public comment. Is there anyone online for public comment?
I have no one online.
Okay, we'll close the public comment portion. I assume the applicant's team, nothing additional at this point. Okay, I see Mr. Stone nodding. Thank you. I'll bring it to the commission for discussion. Okay, Commissioner Mason?
I think you did a nice job. I think it fits the site well, and I like the one-story aspect. I think we should have more of them as the town ages and there's some mobility concerns. So I'm all for it.
Thank you, Commissioner McCormick.
Yeah, I would echo that. I like the one story was great. It just, I seemed like it's going out there to the site and seeing where you are start building. It does seem like it's the best use of the land, and spraying it out and keeping it nice and low. It was good, and looks like it's be a very nice open feel to it.
Commissioner Heising, anything?
Sure, I'll just add that I can make all the findings for all the approvals, including the variance. I want to thank the architect for Ross for going through his discussion about the massing. I agree, it looks great, but I think the biggest thing that affects the massing is just keeping it one story. But I appreciate your explanation of the light and seeing through the windows and all that as well. We pretty much covered, citing the massing when we talked 2 weeks ago, the fact that it's in the notch in the hillside, and that that there were no public comments. That's why I asked that question earlier. Especially since the resident on the downhill side had an appeal originally. So happy to see that the Goldwins the applicant indicated that he talked to the Goldwins back 2 weeks ago, and nothing's cropped up since then, so I can make all the findings.
Okay, thanks. I'm not gonna restate anything already been said, but I agree. I can also make this findings as well as for the variance. And I think the house is awesome. I'd like to live there. So beautiful. Would anybody be interested in making a motion?
I'm just scrolling for got it?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to adopt PC resolution 2024-1, approving the project subject to conditions.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And nobody is opposed. Thank you. On this one, is there an appeal period? There isn't an appeal period, right? Okay. Right. Thank you. Okay, let me jump back to the agenda. Yeah, okay, thanks. I lost the agenda. Can I borrow yours? Okay, item 7, new public hearings, none, other business, none, commissioners' reports. Anyone on the commission? Okay. Planning director's report.
I have no new reports.
Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.